Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are discuss the new topic, that is data conversion. Okay. So first step is, what is data conversion? Data conversion, it means data is transformed from one form to another. Is called as data conversion. In C++ has a wide variety of a data type ranging from the basic or primitive data type to the user defined data type. Here we are going to see that how we convert this data type to the other. C++ allow us to convert the data of one type to that of another, is called as data conversion. It is easier to convert this some type of data from one to other. For example, in num1 and num2, here this is the two variables. Okay, the compiler will automatically convert them from one form to another if the equal sign is used between these two. Now look at here example, num1 is equal to num2. It means number 1 is number 2 is assigned to number 1, will be automatically compiled by the compiler and no explicit logic need to be embedded in the code. This is the case with basic data type. Now come toward the user defined data type, or what we call object in the operator overloading. We have seen how we can assign the two variables of one user defined data type to each other. For example, if we had class A, we could create the two objects of class 1, like class A object 1 and object 2. This object 1 is equal to object 2. It means object 2 value is assigned to the object 1. Here, all the values from the variable of object 2 will be copied into the corresponding variable of the object 1. In both of our example, we are storing the value between the variable of the same type, same data type. First, we store the data from the integer to another integer, and then we store the user defined object of a class 1 to another object of class 1. What if we want to store a float type of data into an integer, or an object of a class 1 into the another object of class 2? That is, the data type of both of these objects will be different. Then there is a two types of a type conversion or the data conversion, that is implicit conversion and explicit conversion. We will discuss detail one by one. Okay, first of all, what is implicit conversion? When the compiler does the conversion on its own without user intervention, it is called as implicit type conversion, and it is also called as atomic type conversion. For example, if we assign an integer value to the double variable, the compiler has on its own typecast the variable and the change it to the double. See the following example of code, that is int a is equal to 20, float b, that is b is equal to a. It is called as implicit conversion. In the following code, the value of integer variable is 20 and we are typecasting it in the float variable b implicitly. Doing the typecasting in the correct order is very important. If we don't do typecasting in the correct order, it may be result in the data loss, overflow, sign loss while converting the sign and the unsigned variable. Then correct order of for a typecasting is from low to higher data type. It means low data is transformed or converted into the high type. That is boolean character, short int, unsigned int, unsigned int, long int, float, and double and long double. So these are the flow of conversion of a data from one type to another. All the data types of the variable are upgraded to the data type of the variable with the largest data type. Drawback of the implicit type conversion can be avoided by using the explicit conversion, because implicit conversion there is a one requirement, data is always transformed from low to high due to avoidance of the loss of data. So the better solution is to convert the data in explicit type conversion. Okay. So first of all, what is explicit type conversion? When we explicitly do the type conversion with the user intervention, it is called as an explicit type conversion. We generally force the explicit type conversion because it either not following the order of a high order rule of a implicit conversion, or the conversion is not commonly occurring. So explicit type conversion is called as a user defined conversion. This is a generic typecasting, can be done in the two ways. It is a C hash like the casting. It is a type and then expression. This double x equal to some values given here, and int y is equal to int x. It means it means integer type of data is converted into the double type of data. So this is a implicit conversion because there is not having the any user interventions or any user written code. The compiler is automatically doing that all operations, so that is why it's called as an implicit type conversion. Now these are some examples for converting. Now what are the subtypes of implicit data conversion, and what are the subtypes of explicit data conversion? So implicit data conversion is having a single type, that is a basic data type to basic data type, and explicit data conversion is having the three type, that is basic to user defined data type, user defined data type to basic data type, and user defined to user defined data type. Okay, so we can discuss one by one. Conversion between a basic data type. So conversion between a basic data type is a straightforward process because, and it often done implicitly. Okay, because compiler is automatically doing that. So this is just an example. Float data is converted into the integer type of data. So compiler will not generate any error in this case through num1 is of the integer type, whereas num2 is and the float type. This is the implicit conversion where the compiler will run some the internal routine to convert the float value to the integers. This is just some code of a basic data type to basic data type conversion. We can just assign the float value to the integer data type, and we can just read out and display the number one value, that is it's a converted value float. Okay, the output is when we can execute that code, and output is showing that like this. Here we have the two variable num1 of the type integer and the num2 of a type float. We initialize the float with the value 5.615. Then we store the value of a float variable in an integer variable. We simply assign the value using the equal sign. We did not provide any parameter programming logic. Rather, the compiler automatically run the conversion routine and store the integer type of value of the float into the integer value variables. We can also direct the compiler to convert the float type to integer. This is called as explicit conversion of the basic type data. Okay, so how we are doing the explicit conversion? There is a here num1 is equal to static cast is a casting function integer num2. Here we have explicitly converted float into integer using this statement. The above statement shows that the num2 is being converted into the integer type. If you want to convert it into any other type, you can simply replace the int with the type, and their type is a type of the data into which you can be converted to be done. These are the one again we can discuss the basic data type and user defined data type. Conversion between basic data type is extremely simple. However, the conversion between user defined type and the basic data type entails explicit programming logic because the compiler doesn't know anything about the user defined data type. Therefore, we have write some code of the convert the basic data type into the user defined data type and vice versa. We already discussed what is the basic basic to basic conversion. Here we can just explain the explicit type of conversion, that is a basic to user defined data type is the first type of a data conversion of an explicit data conversion. Okay, in this type of conversion, the source type is a basic type and the destination type is a class type. Means the basic data type is converted into the class type. For example, we have the class employee and the one object of the employee, that is emp, and suppose we want to assign that employee code of the employee by any integer variable, say the E code, and the statement below is the example of the conversion from the basic to the class type. This emp is equal to E code. Here the argument will be done by converting the E code, which is of basic or the primary data type, into the class type. The conversion from the basic type to class type can be performed by the two ways, that is using the constructor, using the structure connections, and using the operator overloading. First of all, using constructor. Okay, we can use the constructor to perform the type conversion during the object creations. Consider the following example with the time class time, and in which we want to assign the total time in the minute by integer variable duration. To achieve that, we have implemented one constructor function which accept the argument of the type integer. So second type is conversion from user defined data type to basic data type. Type a class type of to basic or your predefined primitive data type can be implemented with the casting operator. This is just a syntax, that is operator and type, that is a, and function body. Okay, return type and the function return type data. So third type is conversion from the user defined data type, that is a class to user defined data type. Okay, that is class to class. It means in this type of conversion, both the type, that is the source type, and the destination type are of the class type. Means the source type is of the class type and the destination type is also the class type. In other word, one class data type is converted into the other class data. For example, if we have the two classes, one for the computer and the other for the mobile, suppose if we wish to assign the price of the computer to the mobile, then it can be achieved by the statements below, which is the example of the conversion from the one class to another class type. That is, mobile is equal to computer, where mobile and computer are the both object of a mobile and the computer classes respectively. Here the assignment will be done by converting the computer object, and which is of class type, into the mobile, which is another class data type. Conversion from one class to another class can be performed either by using the constructor uh, and the type conversion function. Now next lecture we will discuss the pointer of an array.